I'd like to call the April 19th Business Committee meeting to order. Roll call.
Ms. Mary Petito.
Here.
Ms. Buckalyn Charpentier.
Here.
Mr. Myron Wright.
Here.
Thank you. All right, our first report is on insurance. Mr. Buddy Leday to receive a report from Buddy Leday of Gallagher Benefit Services on the status of the employee and retiree health plans for Q1 for year 2023.
Right.
Mr. Leday.
Thank you, Mr. Tito. Buddy Leday, 2000 Audubon Avenue, Suite E. I feel like I gotta do that now. So it's all good. No, so it's just a first quarter report of the medical plan is what we're doing tonight. We do this every quarter for the new members, so we got all the March numbers. These reports sometimes we're last minute getting them in because we don't get numbers until the very last minute. So we had final numbers come in the pharmacy yesterday afternoon, so we hurried up and finished the report and got it in so we could have it presented tonight. We have great news thus far, guys. It's running really well year to date. So that's something we needed to hear. I'm really happy about it. So I'm going to walk through the report real quickly, and then we're going to temper expectations at the end of the report. So, because it's not always going to go this well, we know that, right? So if you look at the report, we're going to just look at the first column in 2023, and it shows 3 months. So the first 3 lines is showing January, February, and March, and that is your pure claims costs. Again, you guys understand we had an in-service, it's self-funded. So this is what y'all are paying in medical and prescription drug claims. You see the first month was about $1.4 million, okay? The second month is what I want to point out at just over $1 million in medical and prescription drug claims in the month of February. That is the best month we've had in a couple of years. You might ask why. There's not enough trend to be able to say this is why. You can't base 1 month because maybe a really big claim might have happened in February, but it didn't hit till March. So you're kind of watching that thing, but we're going to keep an eye on it. What I can say is that we do feel there are some savings that are occurring, and I appreciate everybody's patience and understanding and going through the transition. But we have some reports, which I will get to at some point. We're still working through people's first prescription of the year, but we have taken some high-cost drugs off the plan. We have saved people, employees and their families money who switched to those drugs through these programs we moved to. And we've saved the district a load of money doing it so far. So it's been a transition. It's not been great all the time because people have to go through an extra step to get their medicine, but it has provided some savings for the district, which is what it was meant to do, and also to save money for the individuals who are paying copays for drugs that they don't have to pay copays for now. So it's really good. But that is affecting the numbers a little bit. So February was great. March was average, 1.3 million. And you'll see the gross claims at 3.8 million. What I'll say is that, which is just great to me, is I'll compare on periods through 3 months the year prior, we're $1.5 million to the good in claims. So the claims are running better. It's a good thing, but that could change in an instant. And y'all understand that, right? Because we've had months that are almost $3 million sometimes. Again, if we go line by line, I just want to point out a couple of things. The gross claims, that's the number I just told you. Specific reimbursements, that's actually carryover from last year. That's people went over the $300,000 specific deductible that the school board takes on. The drug rebates and subsidies, are 2 drug rebates that came through, but those are both from last year. So keep that in mind, okay, because they usually pay. So the last one came in literally 3 days ago, and that's from fourth quarter of prior year. And so the first one came in January, which is from third quarter of prior year. But we always report it as received. I think that number is going to stay more consistent than we have in the past and actually potentially get a little bit better. So we'll cover that again in the future. Net claims, so that's the claims less the specific and the drug rebates. Your fixed costs, that's what you pay in for the reinsurance, okay? The Humana premium, that's your Medicare Advantage program, and we talked about that at length. We've saved a lot of money and had a lot of happy people by moving to the Humana plan for the Medicare eligible retirees over 65. And then it gives a total annual cost, average number of enrolled, how much money is coming from the employees and the retirees and the school board. The good thing is you'll see in the split, it's 38.9 and 61.1. Y'all are still roughly in that 60-40 range, but the way it is right now, y'all are replenishing to the good $678,000. some of that money y'all took from other places, right? Or took from that healthcare fund that at one time we had a lot of money into it. It dwindled down because we had a couple of bad years. So replenishing the fund is a great thing. And we're still running at about 60-40 on the split. So it shows the monthly average, and then that's the difference at the bottom. The monthly average now versus the monthly average last year is 31.45% better than we were running last year. It's just 3 months. So,
Good news where we can.
yeah, we'll take the good news when we can get it, but I was very happy. We're very pleased with how it's running so far. Again, like we always tell y'all, if y'all need anything, have any questions, our doors are always open, our phone's always on. If you get any people who call you and they have something that they need questions answered about anything, of course, the insurance office is always open. Ms. Brittany does a great job, and she can direct them to us if she needs further assistance, or if you guys just have general questions, y'all know how to reach me. Any questions tonight? Yeah.
I've had a couple employees ask me, well, I guess, are upset about being self-funded. And I know you gave us a really good explanation for our board in service.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering if you could maybe like type up a little email that way I can verbally tell them or
I'd be
show,
happy to.
or, you know, send them. Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Thank you for your report, Mr. Leday, but I want to tell you, I want to thank you too, because if he is so good about when you call him, he tells you to let the employee call him so he can explain it. So he's really, really good.
And that information is often best firsthand and directed to an expert, whereas, we can pass on the information, but it's, if they dig deeper and we're not necessarily insurance experts or agents, then it's hard to really get the right answers. So.
And I just want to go back to the self-funded thing. There's so many reasons, and it just makes perfect sense. And again, if that's somebody that just wants to ask a question, we did it in the form of an in-service, but it's saved the school board, I'd say, tens of millions of dollars over the last several years.
You gave a really good explanation.
Yeah.
I understood it, but I don't know enough to
As
really.
a matter of fact, it would even be difficult to get an insurance company to quote this group on a fully insured basis. So,
Thank you, Mr. Leday. All right.
thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to finance, to consider, item A, to consider and take action with respect to adopting a resolution canvassing the returns and declaring the results of the special election held in Lafourche Parish, state of Louisiana, to authorize the levy of a sales and use tax therein, and to Consolidated School District Number 1 of the Parish of Lafourche, state of Louisiana, authorize the rededication and extension of an ad valorem tax therein on Saturday, March 25th, 2023. And Mr. Akers, please explain all of that to us.
Will do. Thank you very much. My name is Jason Akers. I'm with Foley & Udell. For those of you that are new, because this election was actually called before you took office, our firm serves as bond counsel, special counsel to the district on matters related to finance, related to elections and taxes and things of that nature. We serve as a complement to Mr. Amity. He and I get along very well. I'm going to mention him in the process of the next discussion as well. So we are kind of called in to help with these specialized items. One of these is the election that was held on March 25th. That was for two different propositions. First was to extend and rededicate the existing ad valorem tax that's being levied at the rate of 4 mils, currently being used for the comprehensive safety and security program. It's going to have an additional purpose for the extended period, which starts this year and goes through 2032. That additional purpose would be for additional support of the public school system, including the payment of salaries and benefits. The second election is actually a sales tax approval of 0.4% parish-wide that was a new tax. However, it was done in consultation with the parish and the reduction of a corresponding tax that the parish was levying of 4%. So for most voters in the parish, that actually did not result in an increase in taxes. Instead, it kept the overall sales tax level at the same for most voters within the parish. The two elections were held on the same day. They both passed. The first election, the ad valorem tax election, had 7,856 votes in favor, 4,952 votes against. That's a majority of 2,904 votes in favor. Just very quickly, let me mention the second, and I'll tell you the significance of this. The second proposition had 7,554 votes in favor, 5,269 votes against. That's a total of 2,285 votes more in favor versus against. Those, I ran through them quickly. Those totals are available on the Louisiana Secretary of State's website if you prefer to go look, and they even break it down detail precinct by precinct. The significance is that under Louisiana law, you only have to have a majority of those voting in a particular election vote in favor. It's a true majority rules. It's not a majority of the registered voters. It's not a number. You don't have to have a certain percentage that actually vote. That doesn't matter. It's a majority of those that show up and vote. And in this case, both propositions were approved by well over a majority of those who were showing up. So the resolution before you to be advanced to the board does what we call canvasses the returns. And that's a statutory requirement. We have to canvass the returns of the election. That would then allow us to move into process number 2, which would be the adoption of the millage resolution with respect to the first proposition. And your next item on the Finance Committee agenda has to do with the levy of the sales tax. So let me just ask if there are any questions for me with respect to this process, what has happened, what will happen going forward.
Questions? Any comments from the public? We have a comment? Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Oh, okay.
Daniel Marble, 116 CLS Line Lockport. I find it very sad that this board wanted everybody in the public to take on $17 a month for garbage, and we're going to silence them to come in here and speak and silence their elected officials. That's all.
Thank you. Any other comments? If not, we will vote. Oh, we need a motion. All right, Mr. Wright, second, Ms. Yep. All right, then let's go ahead and vote. Do we have to read it? Yeah. Motion passes unanimously. Item B, to consider and take action with respect to adopting an ordinance providing for the levy within the parish of Lafourche, state of Louisiana, of a 0.40% sales and use tax for the school purpose, such tax having been authorized at a special election held in the parish of Saturday, March the 25th, 2023. Again, Mr. Akers.
Thank you. Still Jason Akers with Foley and Udell.
No, I'm just kidding.
So you obviously, as a school board, don't often adopt ordinances. Statutorily, though, in order to enact a tax levy, a sales tax, it has to be done by ordinance. So this is the ordinance that would enact the sales tax. Now, let me just kind of take a step back because there is something a little bit different within this ordinance versus the proposition. And if you recall from the prior resolution, the proposition that appeared before the voters authorized the 0.4% sales tax to go into effect on July 1, 2023. Just as an aside, sales taxes always have to begin on the first day of any calendar quarter versus most other taxes that can begin just about any time. The first day of a calendar quarter, it authorized the tax to go into effect on July 1 of 2023. As I said, we prepared all these propositions in consultation with the parish, who was doing some tax reallocation and reduction of its own. Their propositions actually provide for the reduction to begin October 1 of 2023. That was just a miscommunication on all of our parts. The simple solution for that is to just delay the imposition of the school board sales tax until October 1 of 2023. Mr. Martin and I have been in contact about this. Mr. Amity through Amanda and Grenier and I have talked through this as well. It is a simple solution. Unfortunately, the result is a 3-month delay in the school board's receipt of taxes. However, it would result in a tax levy, if enforced now, over and above what is statutorily allowable. So with that is our recommendation. It's a simple solution to an unfortunate problem. The only difference would be, had we known that the parish was going to put an October 1 effective date, we would have put an October 1 effective date in the proposition. And regrettably, we didn't catch that in time. Not sure exactly when the propositions got mismatched, but wish we had caught that. The ordinance, unlike ordinances on the parish level or the city council level, doesn't require an introduction and holdover. It can be adopted just as introduced, assuming this committee pushes it through in the full board.
Do I have a motion first of all to accept? All right, Mr. Wright, second Ms. Charpentier. All right, any board comment? My big comment was to Ms. LaFond. We have the money to cover the salaries of our people until October, and she assured me that they did. Do we have any comment from the public? If not, we'll go ahead and vote. It passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Akers. All right, item C, to receive the millage rate resolution for rates that apply to the 2023 assessed rolls and take appropriate action. Ms. LaFond, and it is actually going to be Ms. Chastity. All right, Ms. Chastity.
The resolution states, be it resolved that the following millages are hereby levied on the 2023 tax roll on all property subject to taxation by the Parish School Board. Institutional, 3.63 mils, the millage key of 104.7062. Air conditioning maintenance, 7.49 mils, millage key 104.7070. Retirement obligations, 2 mils, millage key 104.7097. Safety, 4 mils, millage key 104.7099. General maintenance, 7.49 mils, millage key 104.7063. Salary supplement, millage 7.4 mils, and the millage key is 104.7069. Debt service, 12.1 mil, and that is broken into 3 propositions. The July 21st, 2007 proposition with the millage key of 104.7068. April 21st, 2012 proposition 104.7096. April 24th, 2017 proposition and its millage key 104.7100. Be it further resolved that the proper administrative officials of the Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, be and they are hereby empowered, authorized, and directed to spread said taxes as here and above set forth upon the assessment roll of the parish for the year 2023, and to make the collection of the taxes imposed for and on behalf of the taxing authority according to law, and that the taxes herein levied shall become a permanent lien and privilege on all property subject to taxation as herein set forth, and collection thereof shall be enforceable in the manner provided by law.
April 29th.
All right, do we have a motion? Ms. Charpentier, second, Mr. Wright. Do we have any questions? This is something that we have to do every year. Any public comment? If not, let's go ahead and vote. Motion carried. All right, item D, to consider approving the job description of the Indian Education Cultural Support Resource position. I know that Ms. Robichaud, and I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Yeah, Renee. Ms. Ogal. Okay, Ms. Ogal. Okay, good.
And if you have questions, we will defer to Ms. Rich.
All right, good, thank you.
At the request of the business department, based on some prior year audits, we requested that the Indian Education Program develop a job description for the cultural resource providers that they utilize during the school year to provide the culturally specific activities and education related to the Indian Education Program to the students. This job description will outline for them what the pay would be when they bring in an expert in this area and what types of things that this expert would need to be an expert in, what types of activities. Some of those would include language, medicine, history, government, drumming, dancing, singing, regalia making, and cooking in their native dishes. And the job description that you have before you just outlines what the expectations are for this person to be considered a cultural expert for the Indian Ed program, and then how they would get paid when they are hired by our program to come in and present to the students either during the school year or during their summer camp program.
Any questions? We have a motion, Mr. Wright, and second by Mr. Arpachek. Any other questions or any comments from the public?
Jamie Marble, 116 West Line Lockhart. When you scroll down and you start reading the essential duties and responsibilities, and it starts talking about botany and medicine, I guess my question should be, y'all, is that like Native American medicine and like what the kids like from my family? That Native Americans use it for this. Oh, awesome. Y'all need to approve this. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? If not, let's go ahead and vote. Unanimous. Going to item D, E. To consider approving the American Integration Contractor's proposal for a new cloud-based security camera system, and I guess that's Mr. Chauvin. Jamie?
Actually, a team effort between Mr. Chauvin and Mr. Breaux, and
All
Mr.
right.
Breaux is driving.
All right, go ahead.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon, all. Back in October, on October 5th, 2022, one of our regular board meetings, we reached out to ask for authorization to advertise for RFP for our camera surveillance services and access control. In that time period, we didn't get any bites back from anyone. Through our research, has found out that it's due to state contract pricing. A lot of companies that have. So with that being said, team effort, Mr. Chauvin and I did our due diligence and reached out to a handful of people who we thought, fit the need for our district and our need to grow and move forward. So with that being said, we narrowed it down to 3 groups and chose AIC to move forward.
On motion? Mr. Wright, second Ms. Charpentier. Is there any board questions? Are there any board questions? Any comments from the public? If not, let's vote. Motion carries unanimously. Item F, to consider approving the maintenance and support plan proposed by American Integration Contractors for video surveillance systems and access control. Before again.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. So along with item E, the proposal from AIC didn't include labor hours. Towards that, we worked up a maintenance contract with them where those hours would be banked up and then pulled from there. So in light of IE approving AIC's proposal for our district, we're asking to consider their maintenance contract. It'll be a 12-month plan.
And the funding is through the state.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Do you have a motion? Ms. Charpentier, we'll switch it around. Mr. Wright. All right. Any questions from the board, committee members, any public? And let's vote. Motion carries. Item G, to consider authorizing advertisement for bids to the purchasing department for frequently purchased supplies for the upcoming 2023-2024 fiscal year and take appropriate action. Mr. Miles.
Every year I come before you requesting permission to advertise for bids, and these are for annual supplies that we use to make departments.
Motion, Ms. Charpentier, second, Mr. Wright. Any questions or comments from the board? Any comments from the public? If not, we'll vote. Motion carries. Item H, to consider the proposal of Postal Wait and Netterville for the external auditing service for the fiscal years 2023, 2024, and 2025. Ms. LaFawn.
Yes, ma'am. If you recall back at the February 1st, 2023 regular school board meeting, you all authorized us to go through an RFP process to secure independent external auditing services for the district. This is something that we do about every 5 years. We've had a single company doing our external auditing for the years 2018 through 2022, which concluded their contract. We received proposals from 3 auditing firms: Colder, Slavin and Company, Laporte CPAs and Business Advisors, and Postal Wait and Netterville. We used a committee of 5 accountants from within the department to review all of the proposals and score them. You have there the checklist that the purchasing department completes upon receiving all the RFPs, and then you also have a scoring recap that shows the point spread. There was only a 31-point difference in the top proposal and the third proposal. And I think that speaks well to the proposals from all of the firms. And while we feel like any of those firms would do a good job for the district, right now we feel like the proposal by Postal Wait and Netterville is the one that would best meet the district's needs at this time.
Any motion? Ms. Charpentier, second, Mr. Wright. Any comments or questions from the board, committee? Any public comment? If not, please vote. Motion carries. Item I, to receive reports on proposals for student information management system and assessment platform and take appropriate action. Now, Mr. Chauvin.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening. We recently advertised for proposals for student information system and assessment platform replacement. Currently, we have 2 separate systems, one for our student information system and a separate system for our assessment platform. Part of our purpose of asking for advertisements for proposals was to see what else was out there, just to consider other options. And we had a committee that was comprised of different levels of people within the district. We had a teacher level, administrative assistant, a principal, people from the IT department as well as the instructional team, and they came together and reviewed all of the proposals, and it was determined that the highest proposed solution was actually to combine our assessment piece and our SIS together into one system so that it all seamlessly integrates. Everything flows well. So as you can see in front of you, One Course was the highest scored solution.
Motion? Right, any motion? All right, we're just switching it back and forth, all right? And we have Ms. Charpentier second. Any questions?
That's a great question. So we will take a year to implement these changes. We're working, well, once approved or if approved, we'll work with them to, pilot it and build it, and then we're going to kind of run the system in parallel to allow all of our staff members to really transition and learn the new system, be able to transition from how they're doing things in the old system to how it's going to change in the new system. And then we're planning to fully go live in the 2026. Correct.
Any other questions?
How much the location play up there? How much the location play up there?
Location.
Yeah, I'm dealing with companies like the order from companies where I feel I have a problem. I
So
can drive.
that's a really great question.
I can drive to them, but I got a big problem, and I saw we had one in Shreveport, so I just felt.
Right.
Yes.
That is a great question. I'm Katie McCarthy. I'm the instructional technology coordinator. I was part of the team that thoroughly vetted this RFP process. And so out of the companies that we had one from Florida, which was Focus, Edgear, which is who we are with now, and OnCourse, which is who we are recommending. So as we look at OnCourse, they are within the state of Louisiana. They have 4 districts right now. We would, if we choose to go with them, we would be their 5th. Something that kind of stuck out with us with OnCourse is their availability of support. They were very willing and they were very responsive in their RFP for training support, more so than some of the other companies. Did that help? Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Any public comment? If not, let's vote. Motion carries. Item J, to receive monthly budget and to actual report for all major funds for the period through March 31st, 2023. Ms. LaFawn.
Yes, ma'am, and just as a reminder, this covers our general fund, the 1995 sales tax salary restricted fund, and the salary supplement fund. The other major funds are reported either in a separate report or to a separate committee. In the general fund budget to actuals, we have received 80% of our revenues to date, and we have expended 79.3% of the budget. So we have a very close match there, which is highly unusual. In the sales tax salary restricted fund, we have received 67.4% of our revenues and expended 150.9% of the expenditures, which sounds like a lot, but it is a very small item in the budget, and that is for some operational costs. Just a note on the sales tax collections, they are in line with our budget. However, we are down about $500,000 from this same time period last year. And if you remember, that was a very escalated collection period due to Hurricane Ida. So now we're just beginning to kind of see that return to normal. So we're still doing fine as far as budgetary numbers, but it is coming back more in line with pre-hurricane collections. And then the salary supplement fund, we have collected 113.9% of revenues and expended 122% of the expenses. And this is an ad valorem tax-based fund, and we budgeted for this year very conservatively on the revenue side because of the hurricane and the effects it had on the assessments and all. We based it on what we were actually able to collect last year. So this shows that we're beginning to collect a little bit more in those taxes, and we may be able to adjust our budget a little bit as things begin to return to normal. Those are the things that are highlighted for you for this month. In the essence of time tonight, we won't talk about any other details, but as always, if you have a question about anything, please feel free to either email me or call.
Any questions? We'll move on to item K. We receive a financial report on Hurricane Ida response and recovery to date. Ms. LaFawn.
Yes, ma'am. Unfortunately, this report is just an escalation of prior cost. But it also means that we're making a lot of progress towards getting our schools back to fully operational stances after the hurricane. We have expended to date $75.3 million, and we have also obligated another $24.6 million in the form of contracts for that permanent repair work going on at our schools, for a total of $99.9 million. A lot of that is funded through our loan that was secured right after the hurricane, and we have brought into the district $50 million of that funding, with an additional $40 million that was in the hands of a bank trustee. It looks like this month we will be calling them to please send us that money, because we're getting up there. Also, I want to call your attention to the report at the bottom, which is the report that we provide to that trustee on a monthly basis. Unfortunately, this was the 4th month in a row that the numbers didn't change. We have not received any additional revenue from FEMA, and we have not received any additional obligations from FEMA. There was a little bit of a stalemate there. Our team and the All South team met with some of the FEMA reps during this week, and we feel like we've gotten a better understanding of what they're looking for, and they've gotten a better understanding of what we're doing in response to their requests, and we feel like this stalemate will bust very soon, and we'll see some action on that. So we're looking forward to that report, looking a little different next month. Any questions on the hurricane report?
If not, we'll move on to the next item, transportation. All right, Mr. Hubble, this is to receive a report of the transportation events from the previous month.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Tia. So the past month, I'll start off on the not so fun talk is the breakdowns. I usually end off with that. The breakdowns were 9 buses broke down for a day, and we had 3 buses that had broke down for 3 or more days. That number has gotten a little bit smaller and smaller, and we're anticipating that to get even smaller as we move forward, because we have 2 more buses that are newer buses that are B&L was able to acquire. We have 4 more that are becoming, which will probably be the start of next year by the time we have them inspected, numbered, and ready to go and assigned to the driver. So those numbers will go down as we finish off this school year. We're looking into different camera systems for the buses. A year and a half ago when I started, Mr. Archer had mentioned camera systems that can take pictures of cars, license plates that pass through the signs. We actually have a camera system that's getting demoed that we put onto a bus to see, does it actually work and do what they say. So the capability is there, and we're going to see financially, can we put it in place. And those camera systems also have live cloud feed, which we tie into exactly what the IT departments, the Jamie and everybody's doing with cloud, to have access to be able to look live what's going on the buses. And that ties directly into the safety of our students and the community. So we're moving forward in the right direction with technology. The personnel side, we have another new driver starting tomorrow. And we actually stole him we didn't steal him. He came to us from another parish, which I won't say. When I talked to him, he's a veteran driver. He has about 20 years of driving experience. And he said, I saw a lot of positive and a lot of good feedback from drivers in Lafourche Parish. So it's going in the right direction to see that other drivers are actually talking to other people and recruiting more drivers. So over the summer, our goal is to have about 6 to 8 newer drivers start for the new school year. Ultimately is to get to that 100 number of drivers. You know, we can go a little bit past that, but I want to get to that 100 number. And we're in a good spot right now. And the biggest part of that it's the drivers. I've been able to work with the schools, the board members, people in here, Mr. Duplantis. I taught his kids, and now I'm driving the community that I taught 15 years ago. And I actually had a phone call today of somebody asking a question of what bus the child is supposed to get on because they moved back into our district. And come to find out I taught them, so I'll be moving kids of students that I taught. And to see the big circle of the community backing us, and the drivers were super excited. And I can't give enough thanks to them and praise to them. They really do it day in and day out. And coming as a former teacher, I knew how important a teacher is. We don't have anyone to teach without the drivers getting in there on a daily basis. and the rain and not the snow, but the sun and the heat. And even when an AC is broken, they're still in the sweaty bus. But they do it day in and day out, and they saw what the community did to support them. And I saw a change in the culture of the drivers and an attitude of this is something that we're going to keep doing. And I want to thank the drivers, the teachers, the administrators, the board members, the community that shows up to the meetings. Without that full circle of support, we wouldn't be in a position where we are right now. And I'll finish up with one last positive note. I went to conference a couple weeks ago for the state, the LASTO conference. It's all my counterparts for the state. And they were talking about their issues, discipline issues, recruiting issues, driver morale. And I just sat back and listened to it, and I truly don't feel like we have that. We're in the right spot with the amount of drivers we have. We can maintain what we're doing. More drivers is great. The morale and the culture of the drivers has gotten to a great spot because they're now the ones doing a lot of the recruiting. And they want good, solid people to come in. We were able to actually turn down a couple people because, we want top quality, which is a great spot to be in. And it's because of the drivers and their commitment to moving forward and doing what they do on a daily basis. So I just want to say thanks to all of them. But back to the conference, I really had nothing negative to say. And I listened to our counterparts talk about a lot of negative. And I just want to praise everybody that's in the district of what's been going on. And we're going to keep pushing with the drivers to keep that positive attitude to spill into the schools. The administrators have been amazing to work with, and they've had a huge amount of positive feedback for all the drivers in the parish. So on behalf of the drivers, thank everyone who's with the community to help out with this tax reform that just recently happened, and to show the support to the school system that all of the employees, teachers, everyone in here, everyone that shows up daily really needed that push of community to show we're here to support you. So, any questions? Yes, ma'am.
The camera system that you are demoing, what's our authority or our ability with regard to ticketing with that? How does that fit with law enforcement and the school system?
So Louisiana set up to where each parish can do it puts in an ordinance and does what it needs. Jefferson Parish just recently did it where they have their EOTD buses, their public transport. Mm-hmm. They have that system on their buses that catches vehicles going through and captures the plate.
So similar to like the red light camera system? So if you install that and it's approved and authorized,
it'd have to be an ordinance to go through the parish.
The sheriff's office.
Correct.
And the parish government.
I've been speaking with the sheriff and seeing exactly what we have to do. And right now we're just looking to see, is this something viable? Is it worth going into it? And we'll see with the demo system, and we'll have enough time to actually find out, is it worth doing it, or let's not do this and we just need to stick with our cameras with live feeds so we can save time, save money, and have that information in front of the administrators and in front of the sheriff department whenever there's an accident, in front of state police whenever there's an accident.
What's your idea of how are you going to collect the data too, to see if it's worth it? We have to. How many tickets have been issued for people running red, the stop signs on buses?
So there's no real data throughout the nation. So that actually collects to see how many people are going through those stop signs. Just recently, Mr. Como with the state sent out a survey to everyone across the state to send off to the drivers, and they collect for a snapshot of just one day. I don't remember the day it is that we do it, but we give it all to our drivers, and they just mark the number of people who drive through stop signs as they're stopped, dropping students off. We did it last year, and we sent it off, and we had at one bus off of the Chack Bay area actually had 20 cars that went through just that one bus on that day. And everybody didn't participate in it. The back highway and down the bayou. Every single day there is an 18-wheeler that goes by doing 70 miles an hour while a bus is stopped on the right side of the road, dropping students off. And, it's a daily occurrence. The exact numbers, nobody really ever did an exact study.
That would be good information that you could, And if you know it's in a certain area, maybe you want to start with those areas that you see that as a problem.
And that's our plan.
uh,
Yeah, that's our plan with the demo, is to just have it on one and move it throughout the parish to see, how often is this happening? Is it a small amount? As a sheriff, they'll do anything unless they actually have a video of somebody going through, or a picture of the driver that hurried up and took, or a kid on the bus hurried up and took it, got it, and then reported it to the deputy, because it's very few and far between unless a deputy actually sees it happening. There's never really a ticket.
Is there any option for like a GPS component to these systems where parents can see on an app where the bus is?
Yeah, another great question. So they have the ability to have tracking. The live feed cameras, automatically you can track wherever they go. If it's not a live feed camera, you have to add in a GPS system that'll track that where it's at. There is an extra software that you can have out there that would track to show parents where their kid is at any given time. And that's a secure system that we have, just like J-Campus, where you give the parent the ID to log in, and they can see just that bus, and they can set parameters of if it's 5 miles from a house or a half a mile, they get a notification. Oh Lord, I need to leave work because Johnny's getting dropped off.
Right.
Yeah. So there's
y'all looking at?
I've looked into it, and there's a lot of different companies and softwares that do it, and we're not there yet. Our focus is really to get the newer camera systems, to make sure that the parents, the drivers, the students, and the school board has that video evidence on every single bus that's reliable, to make sure that when questions or events do happen, it's all right there in front of us. So instances of wreck, it takes time to get the video pulled off of the camera system. Hopefully the camera system's working 100%. If it isn't in that moment, then we don't have evidence of what actually happened. So it's the focus is that. And once we get into, all right, this is the direction we're going to go with the cameras, now what else can you add on down the road? But with GPS tracking, there are softwares that can track for parents.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. Hubble? Oh, we have a question.
Not a question, just a comment that we thanked everybody, but we thank you, Toby, for being such a positive leader for your department. And that goes a long way.
And of course, we thank the bus drivers, and I think we need to celebrate what they have done and what they're doing for our students.
I could keep talking all night long about them, but it's been a long night.
Yeah,
My daughter's waiting for dinner. So
yes, okay. If there's
Thank you.
no other business, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.